Today's recipe comes from a really adorable little cookbook that I have called LooneySpoons. Anyway, today we're going to be making BORSCHT Karloff soup. So let me give you a little bit of background. As some of you may know, I am Czechoslovakian. My grandmother was born in Prague. My grandfather actually was born at the time Austria-Hungary was a country. He was born there. And so I grew up on a lot of these wonderful cabbage, beet, all these wonderful things growing up were things that we ate all the time. So this is a recipe that actually comes from the Ukraine, but you know, it's famous in Russia and Czechoslovakia and so many different places throughout Eastern Europe. So today I wanted to share this recipe with you because it is a vegetarian recipe. We're not going to be adding any traditional pork to it, but we are going to be putting in all the vegetables that I can remember as a kid. So this also is a crockpot version of borscht, and the one recommendation I would give you is wear gloves and wear something either old, red, purple, something, because you're dealing with beets. And when you're dealing with beets, you're going to get beet juice on you. It's just a reality. So we're going to start off today by shredding up a cabbage. We're going to get this, we're going to actually use a half of a cabbage. We're not using a whole one, but you want to try to get these into little shreds. The next thing we're going to do is cut our potatoes into small little bite-sized pieces, just small cubes. And we're supposed to peel these potatoes. But if you wanted to put them in with the peelings on, just make sure you clean them real good. I'm actually using a yellow potato because these really are my favorite potatoes. But if you prefer to use a russet or something else, use the potato that you really enjoy. All right, so we're gonna just cut this up. I usually cut and peel my vegetables on a paper towel because I take all the little shreds or whatever's left over and I usually put that in my composter. Now, the beets, it said they need to be peeled and grated. So I am just going to peel these beets real quickly. I decided to go ahead and grate one of these beets up just so I could show you like how much mess this makes. Now I put this on a paper towel. It's still kind of splattered all over everything. I'm going to add this to my mixture here. But look at this. Looks like someone died. All right, so let me go ahead and put the rest of these in the food processor so we don't have this mess for the rest of it. Another thing that my grandma always did was that she actually added the beet greens to our soup. So, the beet greens are very similar to Swiss chard. They just don't, the Swiss chard doesn't have any kind of a bulb at the bottom of it. So you can make a Swiss chard casserole out of it. You can add it to your soup. I mean, there's just all kinds of things that you can do. So let me go ahead and put these beets in here, and we are going to run our food processor, and I'm going to get these all chopped up and avoid more mess. And that's it, messless. I love this thing. I can't live without my food processor. So we are going to put all of these beets inside of our soup. And look how wonderful that chopped these up. It just did a great job. Beets are so healthy for you too. They're just loaded with vitamins and antioxidants and all kinds of things. They're just a really, really healthy soup. Or they're really a healthy vegetable. But they're also healthy in soup. Okay, so you can see now why I told you to wear red. Look at this. This is craziness. So we've got our beets, our carrots, our potatoes, and our cabbage in here. The next thing that we're going to add is a red onion. And we want to have a half of a cup of red onion in our soup. I like to cut up a whole onion at one time rather than kind of picking it apart over a week or two. I just find that it's easy to store if you put it in a glass jar and then you have it available when you're ready to cook things. Can't beat a Vidalia onion chopper. You just can't beat it. So this is a 1/2 cup. So we're gonna put a 1/2 cup of these in here, a healthy 1/2 cup. And the rest we're gonna put in a glass jar for later use. We're gonna use 1 clove of minced garlic. I'm gonna add that right to the mix. So the recipe also calls for 2 tablespoons of a tomato-based chili sauce and 2 tablespoons of a red wine vinegar. I am out of red wine vinegar, but I do have some seasoned rice vinegar, and I also have some apple cider vinegar that I made just over the last couple weeks. So I'm gonna add a tablespoon of each of these. And this apple cider vinegar is just, oh, it just smells so good. I mean, for vinegar, I mean, you can definitely smell the vinegar, but it definitely has a strong flavor to it. So we're gonna use that instead. The recipe also calls for a 1/2 teaspoon of dried marjoram. We're gonna be putting in a bay leaf. We're gonna be putting in a tablespoon of light Worcestershire sauce, and also a 1/4 teaspoon of some black pepper. And I love the freshly ground black pepper. So the only other thing that we're gonna be adding to this is our reduced fat beef broth. So I have some home canned delicious beef broth. And what's gonna make mine low fat is that I'm just gonna skim this fat right off the top. When you can your broth at home, the fat rises to the top and it's very easy to take it off. You do not have to leave the fat in the broth if you don't want. Some people do. Obviously, it adds more flavor to your soup, but we're making this a more of a low fat, low calorie soup, so we're gonna leave ours off. We're gonna add that to our soup. Oh, that smells so good. This is the best broth. And this is gonna cook up. I'm gonna put it on high because I want it to start cooking really fast. I just want to get all these beets covered. It already smells amazing. Oh my goodness. So this is kind of a sweet and sour soup. It sounds kind of crazy, but until you've had it, you just can't imagine how good this is. It is just so flavorful and so good, and the potatoes help to keep it really filling. Like I said, if you like to put the pork in it, or you want to put even like a can of tomatoes or some tomato sauce. My grandma did more tomatoes in hers, but like I said, I'm trying to keep this just like the recipe calls for it. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the lid on my crock pot. I'm gonna set this on high, and we'll be back when this is done. Our soup is done, and I cannot wait to give it a try. My house smells so good. I walked in from doing some work a little bit earlier, and oh my gosh, every sense I have is on fire. This dish is traditionally served with fresh parsley or dill. I don't have any dill right now other than my dehydrated dill, so I'm gonna use some parsley. I'm just gonna cut a little bit and put it in my soup. I just went and picked this fresh this morning. This is the Italian parsley, but if you have the other kind, that's just as good. And then it's also served with a dollop of sour cream. Now, to keep ours low fat and low carb, we're using a light sour cream. And so I'm just gonna put a little spoonful of that into the soup. And there you go. Oh, that parsley smells so good. Nothing like fresh parsley picked fresh out of the garden. Oh boy. This is gonna be delicious. And it's kind of funny, the colors of the soup, how it kind of changes. Even the texture, the color of the potato is like a bright red. But this is so good. If you have never had this, oh my gosh, you are in for a thrill, because this is probably one of my favorite meals. And I know it looks strange, but my grandma used to put a couple big servings of this soup over a big pile of her mashed potatoes. It was really good. So let's give our soup a try. Superb. Superb. Give this soup a try. I don't know if I have red soup all over me. Give this soup a try. You will not be disappointed. It is so amazing, so delicious. Yum, yum, yum. So thank you again for joining me. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to my channel. Give me a like or a thumbs up. And I'm going to post a couple other of the types of foods that my grandma used to make when I was a kid, and maybe you might be interested in checking those out as well. So have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.